Well, hello. Got a couple projects to do on the Kenworth today. Show you what we got going on. First and foremost, that one. My rear axle temperature gauge is not working. Been through it before. It was fixed a couple times before I got it for sure. And I fixed it once, but we're going to see if we can figure it out. But first, we got to get her unhooked. And hopefully it hasn't been sitting here too long that it won't start. I suppose we should give her a go. Oh, I don't think there's enough juice in the juicers to get her going. But we're going to find out. That would be a no. Okay, I guess that answers that. We'll go put a charger on it and get it going. Okay, the batteries are under there. The jump starter posts are not hooked up. I need to make that so they are, but regardless, it's a 13 nut and bolt there and there, and we'll get to them. Okay, we got the battery zapper 3000 hooked up to the batteries. Give her a little while and see if she'll go. Okay, it's been charging for a little while. Let's take a two. Oh, volt gauge is way up there, which is fancy. Oh, she's happy now. Okay, we gotta let it build air pressure because it's down there. And we'll get her disconnected and go from there. Okay, I already think I see the problem, but this is right there, positive stud. The ground pin has broke off, but we're still going to test the gauge just to verify. And how we do that is use a pigtail or an alligator clip, hook it to this one, and ground it out, and see if the gauge maxes out. So that's what we're going to do right now. Okay, so I got that pinned there, and then just came up here on the frame. Now when we turn the key on, if the wiring is all good, that should peg out the gauge. Let's go see. Okay, we're watching that gauge right there. Now if our wiring from the sensor all the way to the gauge is good, when I kick the key on, that gauge should max out. Just like that. So that means all of our wiring is good. So we got a sensor, another problem back there. Well, at least that's a quick, easy way to diag it from that point. Let's crawl under it and see what we got. So right there, the ground pin. It's supposed to be attached like that, but it's stuck up in the connector. And the sensor seems to have just quit. So, and it's leaking a little bit. I will have to grab one at the dealer, or get one ordered online, whichever, and go from there. Maybe I'll come over to this truck and steal this one. It's right there. I already cut the pigtail off of it right there, and see if it'll work. Worth a shot. Okay, so the sensor from the prostate screwed right in there, and then I got the pigtail on. I don't have those heat shrunk yet. Just kind of a proof of concept that the pigtail's good. So I got that back on there. Ground right there. Go see if it works. Alright, let's see what we get. So the pigtail and such is good. But there it is. It's all in place and hooked up. I won't know if it actually works until I get it out on the road for a while, the temperatures and stuff. So gonna deal with that. And So on a side note, about like 100 feet of this yellow wire a couple of years ago. Everything I put it on has went to shit. Anyways, there is that. Hope that taught somebody something and helps you out. Catch y'all later. Okay, so that's what I said. I'm going to fire this thing up right in there and see if I jump up in the truck if we have movement on the gauge. Yeah, what's the worst that could happen? Well, I'll tell you, we got that going. Let's go see if we get anything up in the gauge. And honestly, I don't think it's going to work. There is no movement whatsoever, and it's pegged way harder than the front gauge. So, that's not awesome. Back to the drawing board. Well, good morning, fellers. So, the one off of the ProStar did not work, which used to sit right there, but it went bye-bye to its new home this morning. Tow truck came and picked her up. So, I ordered 2 of these. Different part numbers off of the Overnight Special website, but they look exactly the same. So we're going to see if one of them will work. We're going to start with this one. I'm going to get the pigtail wired up, and I got an idea to test it that don't involve a torch, which doesn't sound nearly as much fun. And so I'm going to get that done, and we'll see what happens. Okay, I just got the wires kind of twisted together there, and then we're going to go get a testing idea. So my idea is just going to boil some water, maybe, if I can get this thing to stay on, or we'll do it another way. But put it in like a insulated coffee cup, and then that should definitely be enough to see if the sensor is going to work or not. We have boilage, we have a cup. Let's go see if we can make a sensor work. Okay, we got just the wires twisted up, sensor sitting in the hot water. Let's go see if it'll work. Okay, looking at the rear differential. And that's a no. Well, hold on. Oh, would you look at that? It's coming up. The water's definitely not that hot. So that's not reading super accurate, is it? Maybe we should try the other sensor. Let's do that. See if it gets a little more accurate read. Okay, got the other sensor in there just like the last one. There's the first one we tried. Let's go see if this one reads a little more accurate. Alright, we'll turn the key on. That one is coming up slowly. We'll see where it ends up. Should stop about there. They just don't read that accurate at all. Not even remotely. Well, back to the drawing board. Should have known better. Well, they definitely had her. OEM style. Woo-wee! Okay, got the new sensor. A little pigtail wired up. Got that. This is just to verify if it works. If it does, I'll clean all this wiring up. Alright, we are watching the rear temp gauge there. And it's reading, well, that's probably pretty accurate. 100 and, I don't know, 60, 170 degrees. I think we're going to call that a win. Obviously that one's not working because it's cold. And that's probably pretty accurate with the temperature loss in the water and getting it out here. I think we'll call that a win. I know a lot of you guys are probably thinking this is a lot of work just for a differential temp gauge, but in my opinion, all these gauges in this truck, it's a 1990. Back then we didn't have nearly as many breakdowns, and you know, if you have a driver that actually watches the gauges, and pays attention to them, you got less breakdowns. And trucks with 0 gauges, you have no idea what's going on. You got an axle getting hot, oil temps getting hot, you just have no idea. Say pyro gauge, you haven't seen one of those in a truck in a long time. Oil temp, mechanical oil temp, so there's no sensor to go bad with that one. It is what it's doing. I mean, those are probably the most important gauges, but you know, fuel filter restriction, air filter restriction, trans and diff temps. Of course, you got to have your air gauges, boost gauge, oil temp, volt gauge, and then your amp draw. I don't know. I think if we taught people how to read these gauges and what to pay attention to and put them back in trucks, we could solve a lot of issues on the road. But that's just my opinion. Let's go get that wiring cleaned up. All right. We got the wiring looking marketplace fresh. Not just going to pretend we didn't see that. We got the please don't leak on the threads. And we'll get her put in and go from there. And just like that, back in place. These sensors are a 7/8. Wiring all tied up. Now, I suppose I should put oil in the diff. Alright, that little project is almost done. We gotta put Earl in it, which is right down there. But first, this tire, I guess, got tired of holding air. And it's super low. Super low. Super poogey. But I guess before we do that, I gotta come over here. And I need to unhook the amperage conversion device from the amperage storage devices. And get this thing started. And then we'll hook up an air hose and do all that fun stuff. That says a little on the crusty side. Would have thunk it's riding on a semi all the time, it would get crusty like that. Not me. Got it locked. Valve on. Ooh, fancy. Attached a questionable tire. Let's fire it up. Truck is kind of on a slant that way. That doesn't do justice for getting the differential full. So we're going to move it over here in a few minutes. We'll go from there. I think that'll do just fine. Let's get her moved. We got her moved. Gonna use the same 22 mil. We're gonna pull the fill plug out, which is, I can show you. It's right there, right above where the sensor was. She's not that tight. That's all she is. Got a little bit of metal on there. Not too bad. Not too bad. And for our oil of the day, we're going to make our own synthetic blend. Honestly, the only reason I bought this one is because it's the bag and it makes life so easy, and they're pretty easy to refill. Now that I got this one, it's made in the USA, so it ought to be just fine. Just fine. Alright, let's get them in there. Alright, I sure hope you guys can see everything okay. Show you how easy it is to use these. Not off to a good start, are we? There it is. And you just give her the squeezy squeeze. This really isn't a tight spot, but they do make life easier. And just like that. Alright guys, thought I'd show you real quick how to test the level. Put your finger in. Right there. It's not going to focus. There we go. You need to bend it over. Push it in far enough so you can bend it over the threads. As long as the tip of your finger is in the oil when you pull it back out. Like that. You are golden. You are good to go. So, we got the please don't leak on the threads here. And just thread that back in real quick, like. Tighten her up, and we're good to go. A little more. Just like that. Wrench told us we were done. So that shock there is leaking. We're going to do both back ones as soon as they arrive. They're supposed to be here today. But other than that, that'll be that for now. Let's get these shocks done. These are the ones my parts guy called me. Bulldog HD. Told him I'd never heard of them, but I will give them a try. They actually come packaged pretty nice. So let's get the old ones off and see what we can do. These are pretty simple on this truck. They're stud mount top and bottom. 24 mil. Of course it would spin. Woo. Of course I said they were easy. Grab a pair of channel locks. Channel locks. Hopefully this will help us out and do what we gotta do here. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, eh? All right. See if we can get this one without the swivel. There is an air valve in the way. You just never know. This one is the bad one, and you can tell because it already fell. So now I just got to crawl under it and do the same thing on the bottom. and we'll see how close they compare to the new ones. Okay then, got the old ones out. Pretty simple, this design. I just wanted to make sure, because we had to order these 3 times to get supposedly the right ones. So we're hoping that they are the right length. And overall, they look pretty close. So these come with the bushings, washers, everything on the ends. They're packaged nicely. Pop that little doodad off. That little doodad off. And they are real similar. They're going to work just fine. Get that one out of here. So when I do these, well, not like that. Teflon 5th wheel, nice upgrade. I do them from the top up here. Put the bottom one in the saddle. And then compress it and let it expand into the top one. Oh yeah, they got the good pressure. Keep going, keep going. And then they will expand up into the hole. Make sure the bushing is centered. Like that. And start the nut. I will tighten the bottom first. That's why I got the swivel, because there's not enough ground clearance without that. Toss that down there. This will get the other one in place. It don't even want to expand anymore. This is the bad one. You can see it was all leaky. Yeah, it's not working no more. In the junk pile it goes. Make sure. 0085. Well, at least we have matching part numbers. Just from where we're at right now, I'd say the quality's pretty good. Do the same with this side. And we'll have a little less bouncy maybe. Put those in the pockets. Alright. There, it's doing compress. Oh yeah, keep going, keep going. A little more. Whew. All right. Bushing and washer and the nuts. Not that it would fall out of there anyways. Alright, go underneath, tighten them up, come back up top, tighten these up, and that is that. Pretty simple. Alright, I've got the bottom done. Really nothing to it, just had to use the swivel. So, when you tighten these, you don't want to rattle the ever-loving God out of them. Just tighten them up till the rubber is evenly squished with the width of the washer. They're a lock nut, they won't come off. It'll be easier to take off next time. like that. Washer's right the same width as the rubber, and that's all there is to it. Get this one tightened up. And just like that. Well, I appreciate everybody watching. I hope I was able to help you out in some regard. Wouldn't mind hitting the follow button and the little bell. Doesn't cost you nothing. You'll know when I put up new videos. And again, I appreciate everything. Y'all have a great day.